Hi there. Welcome back to day 31 of 55 Days of Christ Consciousness. And for those of you just joining us, it's inspired by the Self-Mastery deck, Christ Consciousness Self-Mastery deck, created by Amanda Ellis and illustrated by Jane Delaford Taylor. And this is a really beautiful deck, and it goes along with some of the Christ teachings. However, to support you in your own life, because that Christed energy is within all of us. And how do we embody that? How does it look like, or this organic process as you are evolving in your own life, in your own path of self-mastery that is unique to you, and holding the light of God that's within you, or universe, or however you want to describe that light. For our purposes, just to keep it simple, I'll probably just continue to use the word God, but recognizing it's an energy and qualities that are within you that you can activate within yourself. And that I feel many of us are feeling called to change our lives. And how does that look? And how might you be supported by the Christ consciousness energies and the mentorship, if you will, of Jesus, and other ascended master beings like Buddha, Mary Magdalene, even your ancestors who have walked before you. So to invite any of you that may feel a bit of contraction in your body to the word Christ or God, to recognize we use things, language is the best way to describe what's occurring in life. It's not here to ask you to change your religious practices by any means, but how might you evolve even within your own religious practices as you are of spirit and energy, growing and evolving within yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically with the body, and learning how they all work together, because it's an experiential process. You don't just evolve and not go through any type of experience, right? We're not static beings unless you choose to be inflexible and no longer grow, and have a rigidness to you, as we talked about in a little bit about in day 30 with that new vintage, right? The new vintage of yourself. You must be flexible and open-minded as you grow, even within your own life, right? Bringing it back to the self and get to know your inner state of being, and bring it and bridge it to your higher state of being. And how does that look and then be embodied, and as you make different choices for yourself? So this beautiful deck can assist you along your journey. And again, take what you need and leave the rest. My name, as a reminder, is Gina, Soul Inspired Reflections. And feel free to like and share this video, or other videos if you find that they've supported you in some way, because it may support others. Again, it's your journey, and they're just here to guide you along the way, and maybe something insightful supports you in your own inner evolution, in your heart expansion, and return to your innate essence and being as you walk this life. So here we are shuffling the deck on day 31, and let's see what comes out for us in this 55-day journey. And just remember, you can revisit these recordings at any time. It's not time sensitive. So whenever you come across these, it's the right time for you to hear something and revisit it. Sometimes when we revisit something again, we get new insight that would perhaps you might have missed the first time, because you're different. And so be open-minded as we remind ourselves in day 30 to what experience in life can bring you wisdom for you. And today's date, just for those of you that are wondering, is October 9th, when I'm actually pulling a card of 2023. That's funny, I wanted to say 2024, but of 2023. And oftentimes I'll do multiple recordings and then release them. So let's see what Jesus wants us to talk about today, and what Christ energy wants to be received on day 31 of this beautiful 55 card deck. All right, let's get in a proper shuffle here. Okay. Oh, Peter, denial and weakness. This is always, I feel, a beautiful card as I'm learning this deck and connect with it every time. I have not explored every single card yet. So that's also what inspired me to do this 55 days of Christ consciousness, to be able to explore each attribute that was channeled for this deck, with myself as well with those who are following along. So let's just take in this card. It's card number 7, Peter, denial and awareness. Denial and awareness. And look how his hand is up and he's turned away. Even do that for yourself. Like, what does that mean? Like, if you're totally done with someone, or you don't want to hear it, you don't want to see it, it's almost like monkey. I hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, in a way. Like, but there's this piece of you're not owning who you are in the way you are operating, right? There's that piece like, I don't want to see myself. I don't want to see the shadows of myself because they're perhaps maybe too scary, or you don't want to believe it. And the truth is, all of us have shadows. I have shadows. You have shadows. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. And you may not hear people say that. There's nothing wrong with the fact that all of us have an aspect to ourselves that we need to bring light to recognize within ourselves, you know what? Yeah, I do operate that way. But being willing, if you're on this channel, you're at a certain level where you're changing your life and you're recognizing you want to live and be a different way, not just for, it's not for others, but for yourself. You recognize your life needs to change. Now, when you begin to look yourself in the mirror and just own it, that even if you're angry, that in itself, acknowledging it, can assist you in setting yourself free from the anger inside yourself, or from the sadness inside yourself, or depression, or feeling disconnect, right? But awareness alone is just a step, right? First, the denial, opposite of denying is acknowledging. Okay. And I can't force anyone to acknowledge themselves. You must come to that knowing on your own. You must come to that awareness, and something in your life where you're something deep down, or some other external event will occur that perhaps brings someone to look in the mirror at themselves. Because the only common denominator in your life, at least this is how I began to see it so many years ago, is yourself. Wherever I go in my life, I'm always the constant. So if I'm attracting the same events over and over in different people in my life, but the same scenario continues to happen, I have no other place but to choose and become aware that I must look at myself. Because there's something within me that needs to change or learn, bring awareness to, and heal, bring the light to. So I no longer repeat the same interaction or pattern, because we're dealing with patterns within the self, archetypal patterns. All of us have programming in us that we are operating on. So if you think of yourself like a computer has old programming, and when that programming is no longer communicating, or it's running slow, it's no longer efficient, the computer software and programs gets an upgrade. So this ascension is a natural ascension that's organic for each and every single one of us, but we experience it. There are some things that are common to it, and other things that we experience differently because it's unique to you. But at the end of it all, through it all, we're going through an energetic upgrade, what affects you emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Those are our primary 4 energetic fields of the aura. Okay. Or human biofield, or whatever you want to call it, because science has created its own vernacular for it. It's the light body. It's the unseen energies within you, right? But when you start to acknowledge these unseen aspects of yourself, belief systems that can be created when you are within your own family, right? That's your tribe connected to your root chakra. That's the energy of the root chakra, right? Your relationships, sacral, your sense of self-worth, power, finances, resource, ability to survive, solar plexus, personal power, right? Choice. And then you start to come into the throat. But that lower unit of your energetic system, solar plexus, root, sacral chakra, those are a unit that come into, you're asking, all of us are being asked to come into harmonics and raise the vibration and frequencies of those, of our lower centers, from a three-dimensional way of being, meaning we're moving out of fear. We're coming into our self-worth. We're learning how to be resourceful and create, come back into our creativity, how to earn a living, no longer dependent on something external from us in the same way that we did before, right? We see that in corporations, right? People aren't dependent on a corporation or business to have their pensions, right? That they're going to be sustained for life. That's very different. And that can be a scary transition for many people. So we're seeing it in the micro and the macro. So you, on an individual level, if we're talking about that as an example, are learning how am I resourceful? How can I earn a living? How can I have my basic needs be met with trust, with faith, with self-esteem, with my own personal power, knowing that all is well, and trust in the higher guidance of your higher self. That's the higher chakras coming in, your heart opening, and work in vocations and careers that are now matching your resonance. But to get there, you must go through this process and no longer deny what's in front of you and what's inside you. Bring awareness to it and bring light to it, and then use your personal power and choice to change it. And it doesn't have to be a big change. It could be just as small as choosing not to complain about maybe the work that's in front of you, and changing your perspective, or reminding yourself, gosh, I really do complain about work every single day. That doesn't make me feel good. It impacts my life. It impacts people around me. It impacts my coworkers. What is it within me that I can actually just change within myself, right? So for instance, I've used the example of maybe a database or records management system not being the most efficient, right? Instead of complaining about it, do the best you can with it, and either be part of a solution or just make the best you can with it and let it go, because it's outside of your control of what maybe your business chooses to use as a record management system, right? How can you make that system work best for you within the construct that you are working in, right? So then you're no longer being impacted by something that's really, you have no power over changing, right? Because there's a lot of things that go into an upgrade to a record management system: funding, timing, research. Let the management staff handle all that. If they ask for assistance and like, hey, we need people to help us do that and research, then maybe you hold your hand up as part of the solution, right? But in the meantime, be aware of, are you like basically complaining on what brings you food on the table, right? Because if you're going to work every day and you're complaining all the time, but forgetting about the gratitude that it brings you financial support, right? Financial support, which brings shelter over your head, food on the table, pays for your gas, whatever, basic needs. So just that different shift in your relationship to where you're working and how you're relating to work. Are you complaining or are you in gratitude? Because when you move into gratitude, that shifts your whole body and being. You're bringing into awareness, like, you know what? I don't necessarily like where I'm at right now and where I'm working, but it's giving me all these things to support me to make a better choice for myself. And maybe it's going to support you to pursue either another position within the company, or to support you, maybe I'm going to get more education so I can transition into a different career path, something of that nature. This is just an example how you can begin to see Now bring in awareness to something very simple. Acknowledge that, yeah, I sure complain a lot and I'm not solution oriented. I'm moving out of a victim mindset that it's someone else's problem, that my attitude is someone else's problem to fix. The thing is, it is someone else's problem when you have a bad attitude because you're impacting the entire work environment. So that brings everybody down. If you can recognize that about yourself, not from a place of shame or going like, dude, yeah. If you can recognize, you're like, yeah, you know what? I do complain a lot, and go and just inwardly say, yeah, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm sorry. And if people are open, if you have to say, like, apologize about your behavior, that's great too, because you're witnessing how it's impacting others. But you must follow that up with action to be better, to, catch yourself and correct, like, God, I'm sure complaining a lot. Let me change my attitude. Let me come back into a place of gratitude every time you feel yourself complaining. And because it's okay to have complaints every now and then, but it's when you stay in it. And I'm just using this as an example. When you're staying in it, that's when your vibration goes down low, right? That has a lower quality of living. It's victim energy, right? And it's really taking away your own personal power. You're siphoning your own energy out of your body. You begin to feel like, I have no power. Well, exactly, you don't, because energetically you're feeding it into complaining versus solution oriented and recognizing you actually do have the power to be better and not feel so drained and upset about your employment. You're at choice. You accepted the job for a reason, right? We're not always going to like everything about ourselves, but you have the power to change it, right? And don't worry about other people that only hold a certain memory of you. They're not you. You have the power to change and the choice to change and the ability to do one step at a time, to look yourself at the mirror and no longer deny your qualities that need some, basically purification and cleaning up. And one of those things may be, do you complain all the time? What's that about? Are you in a victim mindset? And how can you move yourself into more gratitude of yourself and your own way of being, and recognize, it's okay that I was doing that, but it's not okay to live that way constantly. Because we're all going to have something. Or how can we raise this quality within you into stepping away from denial by coming into awareness and owning who you are right now in this moment? And then making the choice and putting action steps into place. And this could be just the smallest thing, again, of self-correction. Of like, oh, you know what? Yeah, how can I actually, is this something that even requires my energy? No. Is it uplifting me or is it taking away? Do I feel it in my stomach, and then I have my stomach's all churning and knotted up because I'm just angry and upset and then complaining all the time? And literally that repels other people. It's going to do one of a few things. It's going to repel people because they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to go in that way anymore. It's because it's draining them too. Or you're going to attract like, right? Like attracts like, or you're going to draw others to you that all you guys are going to do is complain, complain, complain. And it's exhausting. People literally will not want to be around you because complaining doesn't get you anywhere. And okay, it doesn't get you anywhere. When you have some purpose, solution oriented, get clear on really what your concerns are, and then voice them, and then also let go of the outcome. For some reason, I'm using this example. Don't know, maybe it's going to resonate with some of you. And you got to let go of the outcome and be okay that it may not have an immediate outcome or the outcome that you're wishing if it's something work related, right? And then you have to be able to go, okay, you know what? This is the efforts I made, and maybe I saved my notes and everything because it may come up at another time when there's a different maybe manager or it comes up again, right? But then you can reconcile within yourself and bring yourself back into harmonics because you're recognizing, okay, I was complaining about this because of this. You can recognize it within yourself. Like, maybe it's like, I just want something more efficient and supportive work environment through technology, through a better system. How can we change that? Already me thinking about that just calmed my system. It's self-empowering, it's empowering, and then I let go of any personal attachment to any of it at all. Because all these experiences, while they feel very personal, very intimate, yes, but it's not personal, right? Your self-growth and development is a very intimate thing, can feel very personal, but when you make things personal, that's when the discord happens, right? That's when the discord happens. When you're constantly going, well, you, outside of yourself, blaming everyone else, blaming things, but that will get you nowhere except stuck in a cycle of suffering. So as you become more aware and willing to look yourself in the mirror, and for some of you, it may bring up anger, it may bring up tears, and that's perfectly fine. Celebrate that and know that you have the power to change, and you're not alone, because you can call on Peter, you could call on Jesus, you could call on Mary Magdalene or your other guides you might use, or maybe a mentor that's alive and well to talk to and being like, I'm recognizing things about myself and I need guidance to return to my heart and live life with more peace. And that's a very powerful thing to do. So let's see what the card's wisdom and channeling from Amanda has to say and share with us, or through Amanda, I'll say, and may support you with this lovely, really powerful card. Because when you can recognize things within yourself on the micro level, that means you can begin to acknowledge the macro level in the things in life as well, instead of turning a blind eye like it's too much for me. Because sometimes it is. Sometimes we stop our growth because it's too much to go there. It's too hard to see the shadows and the darkness in life. But when you can bring light to it and bring your I am presence in and the higher self, and trust that all is well, all can be well, and you have the power to make a positive impact and change, right? And to let go of, like, it doesn't things will change faster as you are able to hold trust and faith in your abilities. And that just by you harmonizing and healing yourself, that does impact the world on a greater scale. You may not see it on the macro level, but you will see it immediately or in its divine timing within your personal reality, work, friends, family. Okay. And your life will begin to change, and how you respond to it and react, and what is being drawn toward you too, to keep your heart open and come from having your human experience, but recognizing you're bringing in your higher consciousness, your Christ consciousness energy, the expansion of the heart as you walk through these challenges. And instead of denying things, you're now going, oh, it's right in front of me. Because when you see it in front of you and you no longer deny it, it takes away the fear. And that moves you and raises the vibration of your lower chakras, where I don't need to operate in fear anymore. Put it this way, some of you may have extreme amounts of debt and don't even want to look at it. Don't even want to look at it because you're afraid to acknowledge what will other people think. And you know what? Let go of the fear and be in gratitude. Maybe you needed to lean on some of those things, the credit cards, the personal loans. Who knows? Only you know why, right? And if there's another reason perhaps for the spending, that it's filling some void in you, that's something you have to resolve within yourself. There's no shame in the current circumstance you're in. To let that go, let the fear go, and then you can take right action with it and reset your life. And that will set you free, knowing you can reset your life at any time and follow it up with the action steps that support the direction you truly want to go, instead of being limited by the fear and being stuck in this suffering and whatever's holding you back. It can show up in various ways. So denial, behavior we have all experienced, whether in our own life or in someone else's. Pulling this card today may signify this shadow aspect is coming up for you now. Only you can know by going within what you are denying, since the expression of it can be or do. We may be unaware we are in denial with patterns so ingrained to expect nothing or settle for less than we deserve. We are oblivious to what we miss out on. We can deny ourselves kindness, healthy food, time to pause, healing, forgiveness, or an opportunity to begin again or listen to our spirit. When in denial, deep within, we know there is another way to be, something that needs acknowledging, doing, or changing, but we sit unable or unwilling to face it. Very often we deny the one thing that we really need, tied into feelings of fear, unworthiness, or not knowing how to access our own power and light. How many times have you denied the magnificence of who you really are and what you can do? You have the answers, capabilities, and resources within you always. I'm going to repeat that. You have the answers, capabilities, and resources within you always. You just have to choose it and be open to the way it looks, because it may not look exactly the way you are picturing it in your mind's eye. This card asks for reflection on the parts of yourself that are hidden or withheld from private and public view. You may have passionately held opinions and want to stand up and be counted, but you stay out of sight for fear of being singled out in public, on social media, or within relationships. Remember, a few days back, we had stand up card, and all those group of people were holding their light, speaking the truth, their divine voice, standing up, and you will begin to find some common ground. But recognize that it's what's aligned with your heart, your higher self, and your gut instinct. You must be willing to go into the deeper layers and have them bubble to the surface. If you're operating from that emotional state and the emotions are driving your behavior, you got to be willing to go into self-reflection and contemplation and reflect there, and allow yourself to kind of get beneath the layers, or the deeper desire to rise above the layers of emotions, because the emotions are just information and it has information for you. You have to allow your higher self, the depth of your heart, to bring clarity to what needs attention, right? So sometimes that takes moments. I find it interesting that this card is number 7, because in some trainings I've had, my nature connected training, my shamanic training, we would take it down into levels, and we called go 7 levels deep. And I've seen this practice exercise and slightly called different things, but the exercise itself is the same. So if you have an experience happening, take it to yourself and ask the question to yourself, 7 layers deep, meaning 7 times. So if you're going into self-reflection and you're going into contemplation and you're going with a specific question to bring awareness and light to yourself, because you no longer want to be in denial of your fear or an aspect of yourself, you take it down 7 layers and journal and write and go, okay, that's what it's bringing me, this. Okay, well, what is X bringing you? If you want more calm state, what is a calm state of being doing? It brings awareness why you're truly doing something and potentially what's driving, right? One of the examples I think of for myself, why do I keep coming back to doing this? Yeah, it makes me feel good, but the deeper piece is this greater act of service. If I can support others, recognize this is an organic process that we're all going through, and teach them some basic, in my eyes, basic skill and foundation to their own energetics, to ground, to learn how to protect their energetic field and know that this is okay. It makes me feel good to be in service in this way. It's very service oriented. What does that bring me? It brings me joy. What does the joy bring me? It brings me some peace, a sense of purpose, right? So you can see how it comes down like purpose. It brings me a purpose in life that makes me feel good, but it is also greater than myself. I feel like I'm giving to life in a purposeful way that's sustainable for anyone who chooses to want to build or need guidance as they're going through a transformational process. That if I can assist someone to return to a grounded state of being, ultimately it's like I just want to be purpose, right? I want to feel purposeful in my life and know that what I do has purpose. Not that someone else has to recognize my purpose. I have to feel that what I do as a vocation is purposeful, and the way I lead my life is with purpose. It's not separate from work. It's how I lead my life has purpose and groundedness, and it just makes me feel full of joy, right? Full of joy. So you guys maybe experienced something different, right? I know someone shared a story and his purpose, what he created, this beautiful nonprofit to help people and youth, because he felt he failed his mother, because in his youth he became a drug addict, and his mother never saw him sober and had passed away, never saw him sober. And so his drive was that if my mom is watching down over me, I want her to see and know that I'm sober and giving and helping others return to a sober life. His ultimate drive was he was doing his work that was purposeful, but because he wanted his mother to know he was okay. That was his deeper drive. So for you, it may be something different, but with that number 7, go down in the layers of yourself and be willing to acknowledge why you're doing something. And what it's ultimately, is it aligned with your deeper heart resonance? And if it's not, you will feel it in your body and you'll know. How many times have you denied magnificence of who you really are and what you can do? You have the answers, capabilities, and resources within you always. This card asks for reflection on parts of yourself that are hidden or withheld from private and public view. You may have passionately held opinions and want to stand up and be counted, but you stay out of sight for fear of being singled out or in public or on social media or within relationships. Peter, despite his deeply held views, denied Jesus 3 times, was terrified, not wanting to be associated with the cause that would end up gladly being his life's work. By denying Christ, he denied his own light. By denying Christ, he denied his own light. It's the Christ energies, qualities within you. You're denying your own light. And journey that had witnessed had been an integral part of his. His actions were tied into saving his own skin, putting his own ego and fear before his great heart and deeper knowing. And I'm sure many of us can think about a moment in our life where we took our own interest out of fear versus standing up and speaking out and doing what was right and following our heart, regardless of any other opinions or backlash. Okay. You can stand up now and know you're totally safe to do so. By hoping he could hide and merge into his shadow, he sacrificed his own principles and beliefs. It was easier to follow the crowd than to stand alone. Okay, you will feel that when you sacrifice your beliefs and principles, you're going to feel that you're going to contract and you're going to know the deepest part of you knows, but that's okay because you're learning how to honor yourself more. It was easier to follow the crowd and stand alone. We know Peter came to bitterly to regret his actions, and his energy encourages you now to defend who and what you are. So remember that day, you stand up. And even in the face of ridicule, oppression, and misunderstanding, you can stand up. And you don't have to worry about whether other people receive or acknowledge what you're standing up for, because you're beginning to be self-empowered, solar plexus in your own empowerment, aligned with God, Christ consciousness energies within you, or whatever universal light energy. Okay, you're no longer seeking the outside approval of others because you just know, and following that deeper knowing, that you're protected and guided along the way that's unique to you. Okay, causing no harm to yourself and no harm to others. Okay, standing up for your mission, abilities, sexuality, beliefs, moral code, and ethics. Anything that defines you as you is always worth it. If we do not, like Peter, we live to rue our decisions and weaker moments. I do want to comment on this because as I was reading this piece, what defines you is you. Also, part of this thing, this process of ascension, we're also letting go of over-identifying with the personality. So while there are aspects to this of, yes, sexuality, right? Those of you that maybe you have a same-sex partner or things like that, that may or once were taboo, or maybe where you live is like, oh gosh, we don't talk about it. There's also this piece, are you over-identifying with an aspect of yourself? So maybe even what you do for a living, right? That personality of the teacher or parent or whatnot. When we over-identify with the personality or one aspect of ourselves, that's not your true essence. Okay, you may be bringing that forth in your human experience. Maybe you have a deeper mission to bring light to people being treated fairly as human beings, where then the color of your skin and who you love and are in love with and share life with is no longer have to be fought for, right? It's not being blind, but it's on this whole overwhelming of acceptance to love who we are as individuals and each other as we co-create life together, as well as you co-create life in yourself and with all of life. But you're recognizing it from more perspectives. So I really encourage those of you that are feeling and experiencing a lot of fight and aggression in your life to be okay really with who you are and how you're living ultimately. Are you over identifying with one or two aspects of your personality, of the which drives you, moves you away from your divine essence of who you are? I hope I was able to articulate that well enough for you to understand. I'm not saying don't stand up for these things, because we do have a lot of inequalities the way we treat people. Remember, the soul, each soul has its unique experience, the human experience, but it's really in the way in which you're bringing light to these situations that also you're being called to ask to bring it in from a higher aspect of yourself. So as any of you that maybe you're coming into these belief systems and moral code, and maybe there's disabilities or what's categorized as a disability, but how might you bring awareness from the highest perspective available, even with sexuality, right? What does that really mean on your as your deeper essence? As you are also, because there's some things too, which very hot topic is the transgender, those going through transgender and reassignment and stuff. What I invite here for you is also recognize you have to also look at the shadow aspects of everything that's occurring with around this topic and experience, right? Who's pushing the agenda? Or, right, because you're not only are you're there's the potential, is your choice in it? Or do you have choice in what's happening? Or is something external really forcing, like not forcing, but bringing in and interfering with your choice, right? And recognizing all of us have a masculine and feminine energy within us. And at certain ages of our life, those, like, especially when we're going through puberty, the hormones are of our body too is finding its way from child to this adolescence to young adult. And there are these things where our sexual drive starts to become more active. And I'm drawn to this person and I'm drawn to that person. What if we just allowed our children to navigate, or yourself, because this happens for some adults too, where we're recognizing the boundaries that we once created by society and are no longer the same in the way we have relationships with other people, women with women, men with men. Like it's becoming, we're all learning that love and relationships and to build life with someone has a totally different definition than what our belief systems might have been, whether or what our parents have told us, what religions have told us. And also there's the natural rising of our feminine energy and masculine energy coming into an internal harmonics, right? So imagine if we just allowed that process to occur without necessarily external influence to actually go through a gender reassignment or hormones that actually have the potential to have long-term damage to the physical body and wellness of that actual person. It affects them emotionally, mentally, and physically. That has the potential to be irreversible. So this is just posing a question. I have no judgment either way, what someone decides to choose for themselves. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is recognize the belief system surrounding within you. Recognize that each and every one of us have a masculine and feminine energy within us. And how might we just foster that process so much more and learn about the energetics of the body to recognize, oh, you know what? That's sexual energy. Not only is it the natural innate drive to create new human life, but it's also creative energy that is expressed through various ways and connection with people. And it's learning how to bring in the heart energy as well. That how am I rising in this and recognizing, oh, you know what? It feels like I'm attracted over here, but I'm recognizing, okay, I don't really know that person to have those relationships yet, right? Or I really don't know myself to really recognize how I'm really feeling, but let me go explore it. Okay. So, and that can go with anything, right? Not just relationships and sexuality, right? Because it's beyond the act of sex or sexuality. Be okay. I encourage you to really find and recognize you were born into a physical body of masculine body, physical anatomy, and a female body, physical anatomy. And I invite you to explore what that really means to you on a deeper level. If for some reason this is coming up for you, right? Because it's a very personal thing, right? I too remember, like I grew up with brothers and we'd play and I was a total tomboy, right? And I remember knowing my body was different than theirs. And I recognized, like, why is it different? And even thought like, oh, what if I did certain things and my body would be like theirs, right? And it was for different reasons, but I love my body as it is, as a woman's body. But it didn't stop me from being a tomboy. It didn't stop me from doing what boys would do, right? Like go build in the yard. Like I got to express my masculine energy through sport, through building, through doing what would be categorized as masculine energy, even the field I went into, right? So recognize how it shows up differently, where there is not necessarily, at least for me, to have changed my physical body, but to become okay and harmonious with what the way those energies showed up within me and how I expressed them through life. Okay. But again, it's not a judgment on people's choices here. I'm asking you to go beyond and look at these. Is it really a personal choice? Or have we interfered with the choice of someone else, especially when children are involved? right? They don't know. So adults typically outside, and I don't want to say children don't know who they are, like, but are we intervening too soon with these actual, with the hormone blockers and things of that nature, right? Is the intervention too soon? Is the choice really of the individual, or are they being overly influenced through doctors, parents, therapists, right? Oh, here's what you have to do. Like, do any of us really know that is the best choice long term, while they're going through so much energetically in their body and feeling the intensities of masculine and feminine energy? Just a thought. That's all. Just a thought. Because all of us, even as adults, are feeling this masculine and feminine energy. So let's not be in denial of all the pieces involved to such a topic. Okay. And now you could bring that into any other topic of your life, of expand your perspective, really lay it out, and no longer be in denial of all the things that are playing a part of what's in front of you and what's within yourself. Okay. And that brings ethics, moral code, especially when you are in times of vulnerability, okay, and influential, okay. Denial can also be a powerful teacher. However, by failing into, this is back to the card, denial can also be a powerful teacher. However, by falling into its trap and learning from it, we often gain strength, like Peter did, to fight back, becoming stronger than ever and shining brighter. He is known as Peter the Rock, upon which the legacy of Jesus's teaching in the early church was built. Jesus was aware that Peter would falter, but stood back, knowing the experience would end up being the making of him. Okay, so our experiences end up making us. Sometimes we have to let back, right? We can't force our own will on someone else. Sometimes you have to go through the experience to grow. All right. Sometimes we need moments such as these to help us grow, but by nature, they should be transitory. Staying in denial for years is unhealthy and unwise. Being true to who you are is vital. Reflect on the energy of the world. Denial today. See what it stirs up within you and what it reveals, and ask for blocks to be lifted, so to see the way forward into the light once again. Beautiful. So we'll leave you with that. I'm Gina, Soul Inspired Reflections. Feel free to like and share this if you found it supportive in some areas to you, and be open-minded. Okay, like we had in card day 30. Be open-minded, even with some things that I use as examples. Just allow yourself to be open-minded without judgment. I'm not making any judgments on people's choices, and we're all growing and transitioning together, and it looks different, and every soul has a different mission here, as we're part of one collective. Okay, oneness. Much love to all of you. My heart goes out to all of you. Much love to you, and remember to like and share. And we'll see you for day 32.